Norway is ranked the seventh happiest country in the world, and that's a finding by the World Population Review from 2024. And today I'm going to argue that the reason why Norway is such a happy country is because their government puts a lot of measures and policies into action to ensure that their citizens have a high quality of life in order to engender that happiness. And this topic interested me ever since I was little because I grew up in Canada and we have a lot of policies like universal health care. We expanded pharmacare and dental care a while back. We have a lot of, I guess, what some people would call it socialist policies. And it just interested me seeing countries where it did work out, countries where it didn't work out, and Norway is one of those countries I looked into when I was little. And some of the government actions, or I guess results of those actions that engender this high quality of life have been low poverty rates, stable public debt compared to other countries at least, and consistent budget surpluses. So these all contribute to the quality of life, but what specific policies contribute to the low poverty rates that I've mentioned? Well, okay. Norway has low poverty rates, and that's a finding from the OECD back in 2025. The OECD databases, for those who don't know, the OECD is like a boys' club of rich countries and statistics involving that. They have low poverty rates because it has a really strong welfare state. And the main driver of this welfare state is the national insurance scheme. It tackles a lot of their citizens' problems, and it was basically this law that was tabled by the Ministry of Labor and Social Inclusion way back in 1997, and it has wide-reaching effects, like universally reduced or free healthcare, universally reduced or free childcare, other stuff too. It covers stuff like guaranteeing people get sickness leave or leave so there's like a family tragedy, stuff like that. And that all leads to a lot of security in people's jobs, basically in having jobs, or if they become unemployed, getting some cash transfers. It lowers their stress a lot, and that's probably what drives the happiness. And then there's also ensuring their citizens own homes. That's another main point, and what that basically means is every few years they have like a national plan to build a lot of houses and stuff. And the last one was tabled by Nikolai Astrup, the Minister of Local Government and Modernization, and they basically tabled a plan to give cash transfers to people who need help renting or people making mortgage payments, stuff like that. But they also have a strategy to put social investments into housing. And what that means is instead of private companies making housing, the government is also a player. So if there isn't enough supply and private companies are having trouble with that, what happens sometimes in Canada and stuff, we give cash transfers to the private companies. What Norway is doing is they themselves are building the houses themselves. There's no middleman there. And so these are all pretty decent policies, I think we can all agree, but the main kind of contention is who's paying for all this. And of course it's going to be the government, but how? How can they do this and have stable debt and budget surpluses? And these are both stuff from data from the Norway Central Bank. They consistently have budget surpluses, Norway Central Bank, and they have 40% debt to GDP ratio, as that's from the Norway Central Bank. So in comparison, the US has over 100%, so it's pretty bad. But how? How do they have a better public finances if they are doing so much more than Canada or the US? And it's mainly because the government's just really fiscally responsible. Norway's tax revenue is 41% of GDP. And in comparison, USA's tax revenue is 25% of GDP, and Canada's is 35% of GDP. So they tax their citizens a lot more than in the US and Canada. Another contributing factor is their heavy stake in the oil industry. In 1996, the Department of Energy made companies pay licenses to extract oil. Basically, they said, all the oil in this country belongs to us, and you have to pay us to use it. That's opposed to in America where, they just buy the land and can do whatever they want. And they also have like a 67% stake in Equinor, the largest oil company in Norway. And this all makes like them earn 17% of total tax revenue predicted to be from just from oil taxes alone. That's not even from like Equinor, the stake they have in Equinor and stuff, just from oil taxes. So now you know about the welfare state, how they and where they get the money. And with that done, I say it's time to wrap things up. So in conclusion, the low poverty figure is a direct result of strong government action from the welfare state and using their great national wealth to benefit their citizens. These policies tackle the cost of living, homelessness, unemployment, and they ensure that future generations also have low debt to pay off because of all the taxes they have on their people, their companies, and the high stakes they have in the oil industry. And this all builds up to a relatively large guarantee of a good quality of life. It's no wonder they're the happiest people in the world. Well, some of the happiest people in the world.